Hello everyone, myself a Mounika, working as a assistant professor at Marri Laxman Reddy Institute of Technology and Management in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. Today we are going to discuss about the topic software myths. Software myths. Myths means common beliefs about software development that may not be true. Software myths are just common beliefs about the software development. These myths sometimes leads to false expectations. There are mainly classified into three types. First one is management myth, customer myth, practitioners or developer myth. Software myths are just common beliefs about the software development that may not be true. Sometimes these may lead to false expectation. Mainly these are three types of myths. Management myth, customer myth, practitioner or developer myth. In that, first one is management myth. In management myth, managers with software responsibility are often under pressure to maintain budgets, keep schedules from slipping and improve quality. The managers are always work under pressure to maintain budgets and schedules from slipping to improve the quality. The managers are the responsible for developing the software project. So in that we are having few types of myths. In that first one is we already have a books that's full of standards and procedures for building software. Won't that provide my people with everything they need to know? The managers thinks, the first myth is the managers think we already have books with full of standards and procedures. By using those books, we can complete the project within the scheduled time. The second myth is if we get behind schedule, we can add more programmers and catch up. That means we can add few members into the projects leads to complete the project within scheduled time. We can add more people into the project leads to finish the project in scheduled time. These are the two types of myths under the management. The first myth is we already have a book that's full of standards and procedures for building a software. But in reality, if all standards and procedures are present in books, that helps to develop a software, but it is not possible for maintain the correct quality. So the managers thinks we already have books of knowledge and procedures. By using those books and standards, we can complete the project easily. But in reality, if all standards and procedures are present in the book, by using those books and standards, they can complete the project, but they cannot maintain the correct quality. That is the first myth under the management myth. Second myth, if we get behind schedule, we can add more programmers and catch up. So if we can add few more members into the project leads to complete the project within scheduled time. But in reality, these are all things about the management. But in reality, software development is not a mechanistic process like manufacturing. Adding people to a late software projects makes it later. We can add the project. We can add the people in the middle of the project. Compulsory that we cannot complete the project in scheduled time, and it reduces the time period to explain the overall project also. So that it also increase the cost of the project. So that only there here new people are added. People who are working must spend time educating the newcomers. They don't know about the project, so we have to take the more time for explaining the information about the project. thereby reducing the amount of time spent on productive development effort. People can be added, but only in a planned and well coordinated manner. So, if we can add the new people into the project that cannot make the project in scheduled time, it is reduce the time period to explain the overall project. So, it may be increase the cost of the project also. If we want to add the few people into the project only in a planned and well coordinated manner, these two myths comes under the management. The first myth is the manager will think about we already have books and standards and procedure to complete the project in scheduled time, complete the project in easy way. But in reality, by using those books and standards, we can develop the software, but it is not possible for maintain the correct quality. Second one is adding new people into the project leads to complete or finish the project in scheduled time. But in reality, adding new people, we cannot make the project in scheduled time. So it can take more time for explaining the newcomers about the particular project. If we want to add the few members into the project only in a planned manner and well coordinated manner. So next myth is customer myths. A customer who requests computer software may be a person at the next desk, a technical group down the hall, the marketing or sales department, or an outside company that has requested software under contract. So customer myths always leads to false expectations. So these myths are end up leaving customers with dissatisfaction with the developers. So myths always leads to be false expectations only. So generally we are having two types of myths comes under the customer myths. In that first one is a general statement of objective is sufficient to begin writing the programs. We can fill in the details later. That means the customer can give requirements to start the project. The customer can give to start the projects. So later we can give few more requirements. Second myth is software requirements continuously change, but change can be easily accommodated because software is flexible. If any changes occur, it can be easily solved in software. These are two myths comes under the customer myth. First one is customer can give some requirements to start the project. He can give few more requirements later. That is first one. Second myth is if we can change anything is occur. If we can change anything, compulsory the software can develop, it can be easily. If any changes can occur, it can be easily solved in the software. That is second myth. First one is a general statement of objectives is sufficient to begin writing programs. We can fill in the details later. So already I told you, customer can give few requirements to start the project. He can give few more requirements later. But it is not possible when he write overall program for design a program and few more changes to the written program. When new requirements added, then we can rewrite overall program by the customer required. So already first he given some requirements to start the project. By using those requirements, the developer can start the program. They can write the code. So later he can give few more requirements means, so the developer again he can write the code, rewrite the overall program as per the customer requirement. It is not possible. The second myth is software requirements continuously change, but the change can be easily accommodated because software is flexible. If any changes can occur, it can be easily solved in software. The customer think like this. So, but in reality, yes, if any changes occur, the software can easily resolve that one. It is true. when any changes occur, we can easily change in software, but the time waste is occurred. So if any changes occur, the software can easily resolve, but the time waste is occurred here. These are two myths comes under the customer myth. Next, practitioner's myths. The practitioner myths also called as developer myths. So developers often work under management pressure to complete software within a time, fewer resources. They always work under the management pressure only. So in that, we are having three myths. The first myth is, once the software developer write the code, then the developer's work end. Once he can write the code, the developer thinks like this. Once the developer write the code, then the developer works end. But in reality, if the programmer write code and deliver to the customer, so while it is working, when it is checked for the customer requirements, any one of the requirement is missed, then we can change entire program. So how the developer will think? So once the developer write the code, then the developer works end. But in reality, so if the programmer write the code, then deliver that particular product to the customer. So while using that product used by the customer, if it is checked by the customer, if any requirement is missed means again that will be change the entire the program by the developer. This is the first myth. The second myth is, working program is only work product for the software project. Yes, the working program is the major component of any software project. Along that, there are so many works should be present, like creating documents for software, etc. So when we are developing any product, we are having different types of phases. In every phase, we have to write the code. In every phase, we have to write the documentation. So how developer will think? Working program is only work product for the software project. So that is the main component for developing the software project. Along that, he can do few more works. Those are creating the document for software. The third myth is, when project is ready, there is no time delay to deliver the project. So when the project is ready, then there is no time delay to deliver the project. But in reality, if project is completed but any one option is not working in that software, then we can send it again to the tester and find the bug for the code. Then the time delay is occurred to make changes in the software. So after writing the code, compulsory we will send that particular project to the tester. Tester will check if any one option is not working. Then he can send it back to the developer. So in that time, compulsory the time delay will be occurred. But the developer will think when the project is ready, then there is no time delay to deliver the project. But in reality, compulsory the time delay is occurred. These are the three types of myths comes under the software myths. Thank you.